want to thank the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce for granting me the great opportunity to talk with you today.
Great.
So I think it's going to be fun. I hear you're funny.
I don't know. We'll see. I blame Steve Branskin out there for,
We can blame him for a lot of things.
That's right.
Possibly. Right. For those who might not be familiar with Texas Roadhouse, why don't you give us an overview of your restaurant?
We're like the redneck Outback, basically. No, we do country music, feature hand-cut steaks. We make all of our side items from scratch and just create a fun environment for guests so you can bring your kids in and they can get, loud and nobody cares. And then we have free peanuts and free bread.
So Texas Roadhouse is from Kentucky. How come we're in Kentucky and not in Texas?
Oh, I came up with the idea when I was a kitchen manager at Bennigan's in 1984, and I tried to get, various, as you heard, I got turned down over 100 times. But I was used to rejection, so I would, ask girls to dance in the bars in North Carolina. They'd reject me, so I was kind of used to getting rejected, so it doesn't bother me.
When did you open the first Texas Roadhouse?
It was 1993, Clarksville, Indiana, after I met the 3 doctors that agreed to back me. But I did try to sell the idea to the Bennigan's folks when I worked for them in Dallas, and they told me it would never work, and thank goodness they did not take the idea on because they would have totally screwed it up.
So 3 of your first 5 restaurants failed.
That's correct.
And what did you learn from that experience?
It was Cincinnati, Sarasota, and Clearwater, Florida. And for those that might have been to Sarasota, Clearwater, where the kids are 60 and the adults are 85, not usually our target market. So I was not really very good at site selection at that point. And then when I figured out that we're more of a family brand, I started locating better.
So speaking of all the failures, I understand you have a very interesting office. Instead of success, you're surrounded by failure there. You want to
those
talk about
3
that?
stores that closed, I have artifacts from the restaurants, a skull and 2 fish. And underneath them, I put when we started the restaurant, when the restaurant closed, and how much money I lost. So thank goodness that wall is kind of short.
So you have an interesting dress code at that headquarters.
We have no dress code. Yeah, actually, it's kind of interesting. You say that basically people can wear whatever they want. And when I was at a CEO summit in Washington, D.C., I think 3 weeks ago, the head of Domino's came up to me and said, hey, I took your idea last year where you have a relaxed dress code, and I implemented that at Domino's headquarters in Michigan. And he says, it's the best decision I made last year and cost me $0. So
everybody likes it, obviously.
I guess so, yeah.
So you're really still involved in the very, very day-to-day kind of decisions that happen, right?
Yes.
And I think you've been to a real estate site visit today.
No, it was earlier in the week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and just as an aside, one of your very newest stores is in London, Kentucky, which is
That's correct.
my hometown. And we were there last weekend, and my 17-year-old nephew says that is now his all-time very favorite place to eat.
That's good.
So you'll see our family there often. But when you're checking out a potential restaurant location, what do you look for?
Traffic counts, 80,000 people typically in a market where London is not quite that big, so we've now are doing 60,000 person markets. You want to be able to see the restaurant for 6 or 7 seconds. I got to park 160 cars so that you can go in and eat. And we like to be near the energy of the area, typically a commercial area.
So what's been the difference between a successful and an unsuccessful restaurant?
Usually whoever's running the restaurant and the vibe they create and the people they hire. I usually can walk in a restaurant and I just look at the faces of the guests. And if they're smiling when they're talking at the server, that's a good thing. If they're frowning, that's not a good thing. So, if there's a lot of frowns out there, that managing partner maybe doesn't last too long, possibly.
What's the biggest leap from a single store to multiple stores or a chain?
Obviously, you have to depend on people to do a lot of things. You can't do everything yourself like I did in the first 3 to 5 restaurants. So you have to hire great people, hire slow, but if somebody's not working out, you got to make the quick decision to move on. And I think that's the biggest thing that I see from people that can't scale up is they don't make those decisions.
You still make all the decisions about the menu.
Yeah, the menu and design, things like that.
So tell us about that process.
So I have 60 area managers, and so I'll call them up and get their ideas, and then I usually call 2 of their people to see if they're giving me some BS. So that's another 120 calls, and then I basically decide the menu pricing and items based on that, so it's a lot of phone calls.
What's your favorite meal at Texas Roadhouse?
6-ounce sirloin, our number 1 item that kind of paid for my first house, which was a big deal at the time because when 3 of the first 5 failed, I had to move back in with my parents twice. And so I think the second time my dad's like, "So how long this time, son?" Anyway.
So let's talk about this free bread and these free peanuts. It's got to be expensive, but that's a...
Yeah, a lot of restaurants do maybe 4% in marketing, and so we don't do any national marketing or TV or radio. So if you have an advertising company, I apologize. So we kind of look at peanuts and bread as kind of marketing for us. And on top of that, we invest money into more people to serve you in the restaurants and as well better quality food at a lower price.
So why no marketing? Why no advertising?
Well, in the early days, I couldn't afford it. So, matter of fact, when I had Buckhead back in the early days, I couldn't afford it, and there was a DJ, Andy Barber, if anybody remembers, and since I couldn't afford to advertise on his station, I would give him free food, and he would come in and bring his mom on Sundays, and then he would talk about us on the radio, and then eventually the general manager came in and said, "Hey, you either got to advertise or he can't talk about you anymore." So next thing you know, he's getting free food. So, it was like 25 years ago. I'm sure they're retired or whatever.
Well, what about dessert?
Dessert, we have 3 very mediocre desserts. My chefs have come up with some amazing ones, but I'd rather you eat our food and get the heck out of there so we can turn the tables. So we figure you know. Anyway, that's it. So peanuts, bread, food, like that's good enough, right? I don't need you to spend $5 and sit 20 more minutes eating a dessert. So yeah.
Now, the secrets to success. How did you get connected to Willie Nelson, by the way?
We don't talk about that. No, I'm just kidding. He approached us about carrying his old whiskey river bourbon. And apparently on the road they eat at our restaurants or have eaten at our restaurants a lot. And so we met with him. We had him play at one of our conferences, and then he invited me to play poker with him. And then being a really bad poker player, he invited me again and again and again. And I played poker with him in a truck stop in Texas to his home in Maui. And so I get invited to his little poker tournament every December. And I usually lose money, so I get invited back.
So you're just friends.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Managing Partner Program. What is this, and what
Sure,
was the
it happened at Store One where I needed money. So I had our first general manager put in $30,000, and he got 10% of the profits, kind of skin in the game. And so today, our managing partners, the people that run one store, put in $25,000, and they get 10% of the profits. And so they average about $130,000, $140,000 a year. So it's great. So instead of having somebody running your restaurant that's an employee, they're actually a partner.
So that's working out great.
So yeah, I think that's the number one thing for our success over the years.
What's the purpose of the line dancing?
Line dancing was started in the probably 96, 97 in Ashland, Kentucky. A guy named Neil Nicholas thought it up, and one of our executives at the time said, "Hey, you need to go to Ashland. They're breaking the rules. They're up there line dancing." So I drove up there, and I thought it was really cool. So I shared the idea with all of our other restaurants, and the executive that told me I should go punish him, I fired.
So all the servers wear T-shirts that say, "I love my job."
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. That was your idea, I bet?
No, it was not my idea. Most of the ideas that we do are never my idea. I just find the ideas out in the field and then share them with other people. But Julie Javera, who worked for us at the time, was on a Southwest Airlines flight and saw a button that "I love my job" on a flight attendant and thought that was cool and came back and made up bumper stickers and then passed them out to people in our support center. And then somebody in one of our restaurants, as usual, liked the idea, and they were putting bumper stickers on the back of T-shirts, believe it or not. And then they decided, well, we'll just make a T-shirt, against the rules at the time, with "I love my job" on the back. And then another store said, "Oh, I like that idea," and they did it. And then when I discovered it was about 20 stores in, and I went, "Okay, y'all can do that if you want."
Well, what's a Proud to Be Loud campaign?
When a campaign, actually, I forgot what year it was, that Consumer Reports voted us the loudest restaurant in America. And instead of being upset by it, we printed shirts that said "Proud to Be Loud" because we're okay being loud. So if you want to eat at a quiet restaurant, that's not us.
Because music is important in
Yeah,
your
music
concept,
is,
right?
yeah, country music is a big deal, yeah.
All right, Texas Roadhouse is 26 years old.
I know.
Is that hard to believe?
It is.
So it seems like a lot of companies evolve and change over a lifespan. How have you seen your company evolve over those 26 years?
Really, we haven't changed that. Our menu is probably 90% the same. Our building that we did in 1996 is the building you might still look at, even though we've improved things inside. But we still make our food from scratch. We still do the free peanuts, free bread. So it's kind of cool that we don't have to do remodels every 10 years of the way the building looks. But our people have found new and improved ways to be fun and cool. That would be the biggest change probably that we have.
We were discussing at lunch the little table tents that if you're sitting at the bar, the bartender has your name, the customer's name
Right.
on that side and the bartender's name on the other side.
Correct.
I've never seen that before, but I think that's awesome concept.
Yeah, no, we like for people to learn your name and then call you by your name. It makes it more a personal experience.
Yeah,
So I started
think
doing
it's
that
great.
a long time ago.
So this is a room full of business leaders. What kind of advice would you give us?
Just go out and talk to get out of your damn office and go talk to people. So as an example, I do a fall tour every year, and for 6 weeks I travel to all our markets, and every manager gets to interact with me. So it's a bit of wear and tear, but it's worth it. I get a lot of great feedback, great ideas. And then I find out if us at our support center are creating things for them to do that aren't really necessary. So our people at our support center are always kind of nervous when I come back from fall tour. What have I learned that's pissing our operators off that they need to quit doing?
So what's Andy's outreach?
Andy's outreach, Lady Dee Shaughnessy back in, I think, early 2000, 2001, somebody had an issue, a medical issue, and we were basically, I think she had a fanny pack and was going around the office collecting money to help with her medical bills. And somehow we came up with the idea that we would people could do a payroll deduction to put into a fund to help people in need, and with hurricane relief or other things like that. And I think since then we've probably given away over $10 million to employees in need, and it's really cool. So if you're at, say, maybe a dishwasher or a prep cook, maybe it's only 25 cents off your check, but then you see somebody in your store getting helped, and they get that good feeling or whatever. So we have about 85% participation in that program.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
So yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
So Bubbas,
wasn't my idea again; it was somebody else's.
Yeah, but you executed it, so that's what good leadership is, right? So you have another concept, Bubbas 33. Tell us about that. What's that?
It's like the redneck Buffalo Wild Wings. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's kind of a sports bar, and I was at one of those CEO summits in Washington D.C. I think it was 6 years ago, and I noticed the head of Outback and Applebee's maybe weren't being so friendly because maybe some of their people were leaving to come to us, and the head of Buffalo Wild Wings was kind of joining the crowd. And so that night I got a piece of paper out in my hotel room, and I'm like, well, she wasn't being nice to me. Watch this. And then I just drew out a plan for a sports bar and opened one a year later.
How many do you have now?
Over 31, I think. So.
With more to come.
So yeah, don't piss me off. No, I'm just kidding.
What about delivery? That seems to be a hot topic in the industry. Are you thinking about that?
We encourage all of our competitors to do delivery. So we do not do delivery because, sometimes you're in that vehicle, you've got 10 other meals, and maybe it takes an hour to get to you, so the food's going to be lukewarm at best. And so I don't want to be blamed for food that gets delivered that's not, as it should be. Plus, our restaurants are really busy, so to do that much extra volume out of our kitchen would maybe make the people inside have slower cook times. So we really want to have you come in and experience our people, the energy, the proud to be loud. And if you do want food to go, then we actually have an app where you can text or go on your app and order your food and come pick it up. And then if your food takes an hour to get home, it's your fault. So there you go.
So no delivery for you.
No delivery, no. But you could take the food take an hour, and maybe if you stop by a local pub, then your family thinks it's our fault, but it's really...
So I understand Sam Walton is someone that you admire.
Uh-huh.
So how have Sam Walton and other leaders influenced your style?
Well, Sam Walton would go number one, he'd pick all his locations. He would spend time in the stores learning from his people, which I really liked. My dad worked for Jack Walsh for a while, and he was always, the lower 5-10%, that would maybe drag a company down. He would make sure that every year that those people, would maybe either leave the company or, maybe get one more chance. So we're very, very accountable to our people in that way. And then culture-wise, Southwest Airlines, I really admire them. I actually snuck into 2 of their training classes illegally earlier on.
I think that would have been hard for you to sneak in anyway.
Well, I did, yeah. And then Steve Jobs, the details that I'm really into the details of the restaurant. He was very much into the details.
So I understand that Larry Bird and Garth Brooks and Ross Perot, they all have a connection to Texas Roadhouse.
Travis,
what's that?
Is Travis? You must have got these from Travis.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was on an airplane once with Larry Bird, and I asked the flight attendant to give him my business proposal, and I was in the back of the plane, he was in the front. And so when I got to the front, I said, "Did you give that to Larry?" And she goes, "Oh no, I didn't want to bother him." So she handed it back. So I'm running down the Louisville airport, Mr. Bird, and I saw him get in a car with his dad, and he goes, "Quick, lock the doors, get out of here." And then Garth Brooks, I went down to Nashville twice and never got to see him. I even left ribs and beer once. Somebody ate it, but not him apparently. And then Ross Perot, I was on vacation in Bermuda, the first time I could actually afford a vacation after opening the store. I knew that he lived in some gated community, so I got on a moped and put on some outfit that made it look like I was a delivery driver. And I went through the gate and went up and put my proposal on the doorstep because nobody would answer the door.
But all rejections from them.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop you one bit, right? A lot of people would give up after that many rejections. But you're here as a testament to... So you indicated that your parents are here. Do you want to introduce your family?
Got Marilyn Powell Taylor. There you go. My kids are here too as well. And people ask me sometimes, "Wow, your mom must have been a great cook," and I'm like, "Not really." I learned to cook for myself, so that's kind of why I got to be a good cook.
She's pretty though.
Yeah, she's great at cleaning up and making reservations. Yeah.
What else haven't I asked you that you would want to talk about, that you would want to say about your restaurant or your experience?
I don't know. You're doing a pretty good job so far. Are you out of questions or something?
I'm at the end of the questions.
Oh, wow.
I thought this was too many questions.
I don't know. Maybe somebody in the crowd's got something.
Anybody have a question they'd like to ask Kent Taylor?
Sure.
Dave.
I visited one in the mall in Dubai.
Dubai.
Yes,
we did.
sir,
Yes,
yeah.
we did.
Without a liquor license in our
That's
country.
quite an interesting.
Yeah, we don't sell liquor in the Middle East at all. We have no liquor at any of our restaurants in the Middle East. But the one that you probably ate at in Dubai is our busiest restaurant. The system does $13 million. And we ship U.S. beef over there, and we ship U.S. Baked potatoes, because the baked potatoes you get over there come out of Ireland. They're quite bad, actually. And so we ship Idaho baked potatoes there plus U.S. beef. We do the same thing in Asia, where we are in Taiwan, Philippines, in Shanghai, soon to be in Hong Kong. And then we actually operate on the busiest military base outside the U.S. In Korea, 30,000 military folks. and they took a vote on base which restaurant they wanted full service, and we got the #1 slot. And so we now serve our U.S. military on that base over in Korea. So I was over there this winter. It was pretty cool. So, yeah. And we're getting ready to open in 2 more military bases as well.
Where are you going to open those?
We're opening in Camp Humphreys in Washington State near Tacoma, and then Fort Campbell, Kentucky is going to be the next one after that.
Okay, that's where we
and
live.
then Fort Benning is a visit I have to do soon, where my dad was actually based at one point, and that's the next base they want us to go to.
Any other?
Uh-oh.
Hang on, and I'll ask you next.
Why I'm not open for lunch? Well, when I used to have Buckhead Grill, we weren't doing so well, and so I was working over 100 hours a week. So I was like, either I'm going to kill myself or I got to do something. So I got rid of lunch there. And then when I opened Roadhouse, knowing it's more of a steak menu and not as much lunch items, I went with lunch in Clarksville, or without lunch in Clarksville, but the mall made me add lunch there, and then after that I went to no lunch in the other stores, and that's the way we are today. So.
How far ahead do you plan?
We plan our stores about 15 months ahead, because it takes usually about 3 months to negotiate leases, because usually the attorneys on the other side got to bill their clients enough money. Sorry, all of the attorneys out here. Brian, I'm sorry, I'm just telling you. and then we have the due diligence for the site, and then the permitting that used to take about 3 to 5 months in the early years can be as long as 2 years now. So most communities tend to take a lot longer to permit than they used to. So, and then of course you got the construction 4 to 5 months, and then our pre-opening is about a month. So.
Yep.
How many miles do you think
You're next.
in the last 15 or 20 years as far as flying? How many miles do you think?
Oh wow! I have no. At
You're
first,
a million miler, I'm sure.
at first I was driving everywhere, and probably 40,000 miles a year, and then it was value jet. I would locate because they were cheap flights, or Southwest Air, and so I'm fortunate today to have my own ride. So I'm doing 300 hours a year times 400 miles an hour, average probably. So whatever that math is, I don't know.
A lot.
So I'm up in there a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it was this girl in 11th grade that wouldn't go out with me. No, I think early days was raising money, as I got turned down a lot. And today it's just, keeping our people focused on getting better and better as we've kind of passed this competitor by or this competitor by. It's just continuing to stay focused and not get too high on ourselves or whatever, I guess. So.
One more in the back.
Hi, I'm Andy Barber. So when you look at hunger across the nation, how that continues to grow, specifically youth, what is Texas Roadhouse doing when you all have a lot of leftovers or the cost of just extra food? How are you participating with other agencies to address hunger in our nation?
Our stores, we don't overmanage them, and I would say, I don't know what the percentage is, Travis might, but most of our stores do donate the food that we have left over. And I'm proud to say one of the folks in our legal department spearheaded the meals for the Blessings in a Backpack, which I was down there where they were stuffing about a month ago. So we were, I think, the lead people in stuffings in a backpack for area Louisville people to feed the kids this summer. So we're very proud of all the local things our people do, and we don't tell them they have to do this or have to do that, but I know for a fact that most of our stores do donate the food at the end of the night. So.
Kent Taylor, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, hey.